that solo player, just trying to play full backside of zone, trying not to put themselves into a position where they can become the target focus of the lobby. But Cammy just didn't care. He was ready to get active, and he did a phenomenal job at clutching up some points with leaderboard.
And like how many duos in that same position would just crumble, right? They'd be like, I'm left alone, I have one elim, maybe they are eliminated like 15, right? For Cammy to make it all the way to top 5, remember, there's points for eliminations, there's points for placement, so he played it so well, constantly teetering on that line, so well executed from him. And another duo, Nebs and Hellfire, coming in second after that game. This is a duo we've seen in the past do very well, and though they've been relatively quiet on the day, they finally make it in that top 2, trying to make a play happen, trying to fight for the victory royale. But I mean, just look at the number of eliminations. Finally, they're trying to just bring something online for this final game.
I feel like they've had some solid mid games throughout the day. I keep seeing some mammoth pistol highlights out of this duo, right? So the Storm Surge has always been there for this duo. It's just all about finalizing those closing moments and actually make it into the end game. And when they did, popping off with 10 eliminations, I mean, that's going to be a huge game for them leading into the last one.
Ça va, ça va nickel, tranquillou, et toi, Axel? It's just going to be about consistency at this point, and some of these teams that didn't necessarily get the strongest start on the day in our first 3 games, well, you can always close out strong, and I think Nebs and Hellfire have definitely put themselves in a position where they could certainly look to challenge for top 5 in the leaderboards.
I like that, but this does make me think about that 20, right? The 11th through 20th places.
Oui, ben
just
nickel
really quickly, let's just touch on this. Let's see which duos are currently sitting in that little margin. Right, take a look. This is our top 10. We'll flip on over to our 20th as well. Because again, we're looking to place as high as we can after the day is done. 14th place, a duo like Janice and Reason, right? Take a look at 17th
Tu fais quoi ce soir? Rien de spécial, et toi, Axel?
Hellfire up 20 places. Vivid, they could do it again. It could happen.
Could do it again. But it's crazy, right? Like, look at this leaderboard. There's only 14-point difference between 20th and 11th. So close.
It is way too close. It is way too close with only this here, the final game in EU. One last ride, one last time. Casters, over to you.
Et merci à tous les gens qui s'abonnent.
This is it, the last ride, the final go-around for a lot of these teams, and you got to imagine that top side of the leaderboard is stacked. It's worth fighting for teams that didn't have that placement in week number 1. For some that have already achieved a top 5, and they're looking to kind of solidify their spot in grand finals with this week here.
Yeah, and I think it's fair to say these guys have had a feel for the games today. You've had so many chances to have an understanding going into this last game. You know, there aren't any excuses that you have to make this one count.
Yeah, it's all or nothing in this last and final moments, and we're going to see a lot of teams change up their game plan from very, very early on. We're going to see a lot of aggression right out of the gates into maybe a slow and style game plan.
Et n'hésitez pas à vous abonner, les gens. Merci à tous les gens qui s'abonnent, qui like, qui partagent le live. Merci à vous.
See some players caught out of position and players taking advantage, but the last game of the day starts right now.
Game 6. Putain, comment j'ai loupé, j'ai loupé carrément.
5 games that have built up to this moment. A last opportunity for many of these teams. Some of these teams, there's a good chance, Jacob, we won't even see them again this season.
Mais viens si tu veux, Axel.
Viens
si tu veux, viens regarder avec moi.
Stage. Of course, the hope is that we will see a lot of them get another chance at it in week number 3. But that all starts with their performance here in Game 6, and it all starts with these off-swarm battles. Manabuka and Thomas up against my Boot and Heine. Both teams trying to land on any sort of weapons they can find and catch another player out if possible.
That's a good find from Thomas. Even the big bush bomb can be used to try to cloud his position. Immediately it goes out. You see them fighting for the slurp truck, which they're going to get. Heine gets the best end of it all, 200 HP and shield, which vanishes in the blink of an eye. Thomas continues to put out damage. Malabuka is there. They're trading. The bait and switch goes through, and they come out on top yet again. Thomas and Malabuka are ready to take that first place position back.
I like what I'm seeing. I like what I'm seeing. A quick, clean off spawn battle, and a chance for them to remind us of how they started the day. Of course, if you have tuned in late, won the first 2 games back to back.
Salut, tu es AFK. Non, je suis pas AFK, frérot.
You see this?
Trouble in paradise.
That looks like somebody got taken down out of the sky. Maybe Comback, Perhawa, maybe tagging him, not letting him even touch the ground. Podesai going for the reboot. They immediately beeline over. They want to take him down twice, 2 different times. That's 4 points on just Snazy alone, and that's putting a ton of pressure on the Podesai. If they can even find him.
Yeah, they do have to find him. Snazy can see just falling away. Hidden in that building, I'm sure they'll check it. Ooh, maybe not. Maybe they're just gonna go right for the head, right for Podesai.
Hello?
Of course, suspicious of every corner, every angle. Not gonna go to the extent to check every single building. Interesting.
Wow.
Wait, Combeck spinning the block, and he will find Snazy.
Good find right there. Wait, we didn't check the closed build. That's probably what he told himself. Let me just double back, check it one more time. And this is where they're just trying to take height. They spot out Podesai in the distance. Not a lot of ammo for that flapjack to deal damage into the distance.
Je savais même pas qu'on pouvait mettre
au fond d'écran. Trying to get unlimited stamina so he can close the distance onto Podesai.
Avant, on pouvait pas.
But it's basically a game of cat and mouse, hide and seek.
C'est incroyable.
If I'm Podesai, I'm never gonna stop running.
Got your shoes laced up tight.
Yeah, I think they know that as well. They've done enough damage though, right? They've completely derailed their gate. We've seen these guys comfortably land at the Citadel, loot up very quickly, very efficiently, you know, capture the flag, get the vote, you know, do all this, all that. And now, they gotta find a new way to play this game. And that's not what you want to be doing in game number 6. You want to already go with your established plan that's got you so far.
The last bullet out of the flapjack started off with the mammoth, and that's why you're seeing that stat about the eliminations with that mammoth. It's much easier just to spray through your targets with the slapjack and the MK Alpha.
Chérie, t'es avec moi ou pas?
Overall with the mammoth, especially if a player is weak as they continue to loot up frenzy.
Bébé, viens, je suis là, je suis à côté de moi.
That was contesting them early on, they're just pushing them out of frenzy field, making sure people know that
Chérie, tu m'entends? Tu me vois ou pas?
Hold down tough. And they started this game off in 3rd place, 180 points. They were 14 points shy of 2nd, so they have a gap to overcome. The Slove and Asa immediately end that fight as soon as we tune in.
Just a replay of how exactly Asa was able to accumulate some of these limbs.
Attendez, je vais l'envoyer un message vocal.
Start for them.
Ouais bébé, comment ça s'appelle, tu sais que tu peux te mettre en regardant de la vidéo en plein écran, tu peux le faire ça. Avant c'était pas comme ça, maintenant tu peux.
Realize like it's a 100-point deficit to try to take first. You want to gather as many as possible. The late rift, try to get himself out of the tough spot.
Coucou Marden,
Volko's gonna go down.
Ça va quoi?
You can see him going
comment tu vas, est-ce que tu vas bien?
Try to get that loot.
Oh frérot, arrête de forcer, arrête.
So much damage being backed up against the wall. Luckily for him though, Nebs is right there, and they have the potential rift as like a get out of jail free card trick underneath their sleeve.
Coucou plusieurs fois. Tu peux me dire un coucou, juste un coucou, hein, c'est tout.
Defense Julian Commons not seen much of them, apart from them being on the receiving end of a lot of these fights where players are just sort of scattered in this area of the map.
It's like he's begging for somebody to spot him out, shoot in that direction. Maybe using it as a way to kind of figure out where his opponents are at. As we see back into Podesai. Last we saw him, he was disengaging so far out of the Citadel to try to stay alive, but it is eventuality coming into play that he needed to backtrack. He needs to go back if he wants to get Snazy's reboot card and work together as a duo. They have a 30-point lead to start this game, but with Thomas and Malabuka hot on your heels, that is not a 30-point feeling of comfortability that I would have at all.
Yeah, not at all. Especially with their propensity to often play towards the vault, towards the island, sorry. And just their raw ability, you know, at any given moment, these guys can set an limb record and win a game, right? So, always on the edge of your seat.
Those are the original comeback for How, the original players that did take down Podesai's teammate. So they had the wherewithal to stay in the vicinity of the reboot card as soon as he went. Try to get it. You see them close in on the distance, but Podesai is too sneaky, just a little bit too quick. He was able to disengage, and depending on where the zone pulls, this side of the map might be one of the least congested, and there might be a high probability of that reboot card getting off yet again. He's already done it twice. Third time might be the charm.
This is not ideal at all. We're a couple minutes into the game. He's got barely any materials. No teammate. No surge. Bro's just existing right now.
At least he's still alive. At least he's still alive. At least he's existing on the map. That's one of the biggest things that you got to give him credit
away
for.
From the island, mate.
He could easily be watching in Legends Landing along with the rest of us if that one did go sideways, but knowing when and where to abandon your teammate is huge. It keeps you alive. It gets you that chance to go back for the reboot card. But what he does from there on out, because now not only do they know he's there, they know what direction that reboot is, so if they wanted to go push and try to take out Snazy for a third time, that is there, but they're laughing and show them. They're just going to continue to move in towards the zone. They got themselves a possibility at legendary loot thanks to that weapons catch.
Ou pas? Chérie, est-ce que tu m'entends ou pas? Parce que je suis avec ma femme aussi, mais ma femme elle est à côté de moi, regarde aussi. Il faut couper du genre du jeu. Vas-y, attends. Je vais abaisser un peu le genre du le son du jeu.
See if Tayson can clutch up there. That 1v1 against Vidal.
He's just trying to get information. You see there, he's just trying to stretch, go one direction, figure if there's anybody positioned.
Et là, c'est bon, vous m'entendez?
Goes back.
Là, vous m'entendez ou pas?
For the next stage of the game. Similar here.
Oui, c'est
Teddy and Cammy, they boxed up on their own
là,
loot cache.
Normalement, c'est bon là. Hein. Parce qu'après, moi, je peux.
Teddy's there, just being that IGL, being the brains of the operation, figure out where that next rotation is. To see right now, they spotted out Seno and Lucy in the distance. They know they're there. They know Vico and Pink are there on the right. About what they do with this information.
On repart dans les paramètres. Mais je suis parti dans les paramètres, frérot.
Well, that's an easy way to get some height.
C'est dans le général. Il faut baisser à 0 l'instudage d'image. Ça, tu me parles de ça, instruction de l'image? Non, frérot, je peux pas.
Thomas has been doing almost all day long, and you see him going in using the big pots, able to save the slap splashes later, and there it goes. We literally, that happened almost exactly, because we saw Thomas get tagged up as he was tagging up somebody else, and you're seeing that's basically the duality of the Mammoth. If you take too long to line up your own shot, you risk getting tagged up yourself.
Il se sauvegardé, mais frérot, j'ai fait, je l'ai sauvegardé. Hein.
Have been running wild in this game. We're thrown over to Mini Miner to break down every stage of their game.
Yeah, of course. Let's take a little look at the race for first place right now. Thomas HD and Malabuka. Let's take a little look. Of course, we saw the winning on spawn, and let's have a look at their loot. Malabuka has that Breacher shotgun, which is going to be really useful when combined with Thomas HD with that Mammoth pistol. I've seen so many teams use them in conjunction with each other and finding great results. Podesai left as a solo, but does manage to get the reboot onto Snazy.
Ça fonctionne pas du tout.
They can maintain that top spot. And
tu m'as dit station de l'image. Frérot, je mets impliqué, réinterdit viser. Ça marche pas, moi, ça me met à 50. Il faut refaire, mais depuis tout à l'heure, je le fais, frérot.
I'm just excited for this game. The way he's breaking that one down, we're gonna have what could be a photo finish at the end between our top 3 teams and anybody else willing to step up to the plate. Because fourth going into this game, stand on Lucy, 170, only 10 points shy of that third place. You got Vask and Older, 164.
Mais c'est ça que je l'ai fait, mon ref.
Leaderboard is stacked right close to another. So if we have a repeat of last game with our top teams going down, it definitely opens up the possibility of somebody else taking first as a fight for Rift Island breaks out. Pink takes the brunt of that damage using the Rift to get there. They're laughing and show them. They take both the actual capture point and the building on top of
Rift.
Bon,
bah tant pis, mon ref, c'est pas grave. Là, c'est bon, c'est 0, là. Là, normalement, vous m'entendez plus mieux. Installation d'une image. Pourquoi l'installation d'une image, mon ref? Ça sert à quoi l'installation d'une image?
Information in this fight is huge, especially with third parties coming in to try to cause even more chaos. That's a 15-point potential for this mid-map objective and all that loot that so many players are beginning.
C'est les dialogues. Frérot, me dis pas n'importe quoi, mon ref. Hein. Que ça va pas le faire, pardon. Il reste en l'image, je vais remettre à 50, mon ref. Slowly but surely stepping forward, taking these pieces underneath their control. They're laughing, doing a good job of backing them down. But a trade in shots. They're laughing and show them are going to have the advantage for now as they continue to try to push down Vico and Pink back. Since it is about halfway captured at the very minimum, they need to continue to play hot potato.
Yeah, and these are the kind of moments where I want to see Vico show his worth and his value to the team, right? Create that opening, create that separation, hit that shot. Get that piece control that really changes the tide of the fight. Right, that's where we see Vico excel. That's where he needs to develop his game. See him now trying to find a different angle. He needs to be careful because what's a player just in front of him? I don't even realize. I don't know if he noticed it. Other players looking to jump in and get involved in this fighting. Pink still the one though trying to be the main aggressor here. If he's not careful, he might get caught out. Vico needs to make a play, and soon, you'd think.
Soon is the right word. You see Zone pulling away from Rift Island. Some time is now going to be limited for these guys to try to continue to fight for it without taking too much damage to Storm. But look, so many teams on the outskirts of Rift Island, below Rift Island. If they hear too much damage and they look to feed players going down, that could be an opportunity to the third party. But Pink is doing a good job of not backing down. Doesn't matter what angles they're being taken from Show Them, and they're laughing, but they're just up and ready for the challenge. You can see them separate Vico on the low ground, Pink on the high ground. The multiple angles are just proven to be a little bit too tricky. They're laughing and Show Them not finding their confidence just yet, but I might have spoke too soon as he tries to bull rush in. Pink sees that one coming, lands a great shot to trade off. There's a couple of missed opportunities from their laughing that is keeping him on the back foot.
Pink doing an excellent job of displaying that even though he is the IGL, he does have ability in box fights to apply pressure and hold people off, giving room for Vico to try and make a play here, handling both players. We might just see it now. Vico trying to get in, taps on the wall, and they're instantly aware of it. But the zone coming in really does sort of change the dynamic of this fight when it comes to the timing.
And all those other teams, they say, hey, you're distracted. Let me use this launch pad. Let me just get out of here. You guys continue fighting for it, and I'll go my own merry way. But a lot of this mid-layer control still going over to their laughing and Show Them. Just Pink and Vico not wanting to give up the potential 15 points and all that loot. 155 on the side of their laughing and Show Them. So this could be a difference maker for their laughing and Show Them. That 15-point jump, that'll put him contention for that top three. But Podosai goes down. Podosai's gone. Stacy's by himself. 11 HP. He's trying to stay alive, but that's Trexer on the other side. Hydro's already down, so it is a 1v1 situation. And they're one of the only teams in zone as well. With very few heals on the Snazzy, the timing is right for Trexer. But it does look like he has options. He can either play aggressive, try to back down Snazy, or bait out that revive as the shots continue to get fired off and traded between the two. But Snazy, he has no shields to regain here in this situation, so he has to be very, very careful how he approaches and continues to aggress on a Trexer.
This is so tough. That first place position slowly slipping out of his fingers, and he's desperately trying to keep the dream alive.
Now or never. 30-point lead. With the amount of destructible players in this lobby, I'm not sure it'll hold, but Snazy goes down. I might not be sure, but they have their fingers crossed that 224 points. Hold on. They're going to be praying that everybody below them slowly but surely gets out of this lobby, because now it's Malabuka and Thomas for the taking.
Yeah, and I'll be real. It does not look like something they're going to be able to hold on to. 24 points in the rest of this game for Malabuka and Thomas. That's barbecue chicken for these guys. You'd think at least. 3 limbs already so far on the day. Many more to be had. Vico and Pink on the Rift Island. Vico doing so well to get in and hits a big shot. Pink goes down. And Vico was able to trade. So again, I said I want to see him taking charge in those fights, and he did well to make sure he closed things out. Stayed cool and calm. And now with both of these guys up, all that loot, and a chance to continue to play this game out, things are looking on the up for these two.
Et là, vous m'entendez là?
Huge win.
Là, je parle plus fort là.
Désolé, mais je peux rien faire. Kind of landing on the tail end, but Lucy and Steno go down as well. Top teams beginning to fall very, very early on. Those cascading placement points have not begun to set in just yet. Shimoki and Wheat feeling the pressure that they want to put on somebody else. Only 40, but as I say, it's 3 below the damage threshold, so even though they find the elimination, their job of getting damage is not done just yet, even though they become the focus of the lobby and spend just enough resources to get in the zone. But now they have to worry about Surge and a teammate, a player trying to break into the box. Shimoki's going to go down. Wheat's by himself, but they did just enough. They landed a good shot to get above the Storm Surge threshold, but the pressure, the focus of the lobby is too much. Shimoki and Wheat both go down.
You never want to be the lobby's enemy.
Dis-moi, il s'appelle comment?
Always a tough spot to be in when you have that much pressure coming in from so many different angles and a limited amount of builds.
Ça se peut qu'on va le voir, ton frère. Il joue à FNCS, tu vois, mais c'est quoi son spodo? C'est quoi
see the whole leaderboard getting wiped out. This is looking like an FNCS classic. Malabuka and Thomas toe-to-toe with Seti and Cammy in our final game. And to separate these two teams, to start the day off, it was only 14 points.
And look, game number 2, they were the final 2 teams in that game. They've literally gone head-to-head for a victory.
Ma femme, elle est là. Ma petite pupuce, elle est là.
For the victory overall at the end of the 6 games. Let's not get too ahead of ourselves. Both teams still have a long way to go. And there's still 46 other teams that stand in their way from being able to do that.
C'est mon cousin, Thomas. Arrête de mentir, Dodo.
They're one of the top teams right now. 295 right in front of them. You see Deal and Savage.
C'est pas bien de mentir.
Not in zone. Just yet, as it is going to pull far away.
Moi, c'est mon cousin, Thomas.
They have that slow side. But if they didn't get that zone pull, it's going to be hard for them to go up and over the mountain. Yep, they not only have to go up and over the mountain, they have to go across a little river to make it there. But Seti and Cammy, one of the front runners, 184 points. Depending on the eliminations between them and Malabuka and Thomas, like I said, it was only a 14-point differential between the two. So going down at any stage of this endgame is basically going to give up that position over to the next team. Pastroki and Kylie, they were another team at the top of the leaderboards.
Stroke only has 2 shots remaining in that, and he'll make it. Very, very worth his route. 187 to the dome. And that was crucial for them in terms of their Storm Surge position for the rest of this game.
they just immediately went up and boxed right next to them. Janice and Reason. They're just trying to reunite with each other. 99 above the damage threshold. You can see a lot of teams and players not having that same style of game, and it's not as easily able to gather that Storm Surge. The video takes down Julian. Him and Savage still doing a good job. Mixon takes so much damage. You see Blaha getting backed up as well. They have to reunite. Somebody has to hold the wall so that way they can heal. Thomas and Malibu can find another one on the Lazarek. They send him back to the lobby, and you see they go in for the loot. But if you look at the builds, if you look at the resource, that wasn't a ton that Thomas was able to gather.
Yeah, not at all. Well, he's going to have to make it work, Jacob. There's not much more you can do now. Tripping and refs up on height. It's in the name for refs. And even though we haven't seen it much today, there's no better time to show off your height prowess than here in this last game. First move in zone will pull towards the south over at Rumble. Because the stroking Kylie, they don't really have many materials to sort of tarp and cover their way through. They need to find a good time and run their way in and get a refresh.
It's going to be difficult for a lot of players, especially in the zone. We're going down a mountain, up a couple hills. Perhawa is feeling a little bit of that pain. Quickly peeks on out, ready for any sort of escape plan. Seti and Cammy breaking through the walls. Talked about one shot Seti has in that Mammoth, looking to make it count, but he actually goes down, jumps into the wrong box. That was actually Thomas. Thomas takes down Seti. Cammy's now on the run, trying to stay alive. It's all up to him. So much pressure on one player's shoulders, as now the loot and the change of the game has gone over. They have tied Daisy and Podesai up into this point at 224.
We said we wanted the head-to-head, and these guys are giving it to us. Entertainment on a whole different level. But for the rest of the players in this lobby, it's their job to stop them from stealing the show. Cammy goes down in the feed, and so that's going to be the end of the run for those two players. The deal falling as well, all things going on. So many players struggling to make it through these zones. A big shot from Kylie, but one that will not be reciprocated. Malabuka, Thomas, now it's their time to really run away with the show. They've already overtaken first place, and now they're just adding to that tally.
They're just trying to take over, prove their dominance here in this lobby. It's been a while since these guys have tasted first in a FNCS weekly finals lobby, and this is their chance to reclaim that throne, but they have so many players to go through. Trip and Refscar, they have the high ground. Malabuka, thinking outside of the box, ends up on Rift Island. Their chance to take over. Grohl's trying to make a cheeky play, going out of zone, but he gets spotted and taken down by Malabuka. Into the top 8 we go as Clownski. He's still trying to hide at that high ground outside of zone.
These guys, all they do is adapt and improvise. But now it's going to be a question of how do we get down from here? It was all good us coming up, but how do we move down? Thomas is falling, and Malabuka might just follow him. That might be his fate. He doesn't really have anything to stay alive for much longer. We're just going to fall, and eventually will fall to his demise. That's the end, but they are still an unbelievable team that has blessed us with their prowess today. Hellfire and Nebso very much trying to get vengeance. They came so close to a first place earlier, and now want to make up for it and claim the victory royale now.
That's a couple hundred series points up for grabs. They started the game in 17th place. Perchawa takes a huge shot. Backed up. Kombik is there on the low ground as well. You have to be careful because he climbs up. Nebs, Hellfire, they have full control even though they're on the low ground, continuously putting pressure high up, trying to drop them into the palm of their hands. At a moment's notice, a well-placed Mammoth shot like that could just break all the builds, and this is exactly what Hellfire and the Nebs are looking for. They have so much materials. They can continue to spread out and build down low, but he's taken the game in his own hands. Kombik drops down. Huge shot onto Hellfire, but it's not going to be enough. Nebs with the other angle, and they make it a 2v1 situation as things slow down. Just a sliver of HP on Perhawa. He gets dropped down into the box and sent back to the lobby in our final game.
Second place earlier in the day. And been there first. And they do it in style as well. They had me a bit worried there at the end, Jacob. That edit from Hellfire wasn't the best. He was peaking a bit too ambitiously and almost got punished for it, but Nebs came to the rescue. Look at these guys, so the domination from them. I said at the start of the day, they played their best Fortnite with each other many seasons ago, and now they're looking to try get back to that form, and this is how they did it. Side by side, hip to hip, as people always say, and making use of them shotguns. A big, big win for Nebs and Hellfire.
Yeah, a big win that you're saying that series points leaderboards after 2 weeks. They started that game 6 in 17th place. You best believe they jumped up tenfold, but there's only one way to find out, Levin. Let's throw it over to Zeke and our analysts to let us know who won week 2.
Big thank you, of course, to 11-2K and Jacob PR for an incredible set of 6 games, and Nebs and Hellfire. This is why right before we came in this game, Vivid, I looked at you and I said, up 20 places, could it happen again? Well, Nebs and Hellfire, they have the answer for us. The answer is yes, a victory royale with 8 eliminations, or 9 rather, excuse me. Man, what a way to end week 2 in EU.
What a run. I mean, game number 5, you get 2nd place with 10 eliminations. And like Zeke mentioned, up 20 places because of that performance. You go into the last game, you're like, you want to know something? Why don't we just go ahead and one-up ourselves to make this comeback a reality? A 1st place to close it out. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's why you can never really feel all that comfortable, even if you're sitting in top 5 placements on leaderboards. As long as there is still 1 more match, 2 more matches to go, you have these experienced duos. Well, I mean, it might be Nebs and Hellfire reuniting for this season, but at the same time, as individuals, they've both got so much experience underneath their belt, and I think they really shined with how they ended up closing out today. That momentum that they built up in Game 5 certainly carrying over here into Game 6.
Well, we only have one question left, Taco, and that is who overtook that number 1 spot? How high up did Nebs and Hellfire climb? Up 20 places before. How many now? Well, the standings will give us all of the answers. As one final reminder, don't forget, wherever the duos place at the end of the day, we'll look to put series points on the series point leaderboard. Malabuga and Thomas, they only lost that 1st place for a single game, but then say, our bad, everybody. This was just a joke. We wanted to just give you guys a moment away from us, but we are back. They will hold down that number 1 spot. Now, in 5th place, Nebs and Hellfire up now in 2 games, Vivid. They have suddenly found themselves in the top 5.
Going into game number 5, you are 37th place, and after game 6, you are 5th. What a performance out of Nebs and Hellfire. But speaking about performances, I mean, there's one that just takes the cake for the entire day. They came out strong. They won back-to-back games, number 1 and 2. I mean, it's Thomas and Malabuka. What a run from this duo. Also clutching up in the last one there with that very smart play, right, to Rift up to Rift Island. Unfortunately, they quickly realized that, coming down off of this is going to be quite troublesome, but they still clutch up points because of it.
And even from the very beginning, where we noticed that Thomas and Malabuka were going to be initially contested at their draw spot, it's just an area that they're all too familiar with, and pressure is just seemingly where they tend to exceed expectations. Their standard for how they actually choose to maneuver through these low and mid-ground layers, you would think that they are a single person with how well they're able to essentially connect their mindsets, but at the same time, Thomas Malabuka, I had to give him a shout out as well for this play, that Hail Mary call at the very end too, to jump up onto the Rift Island. For a moment, it looked as though it was going to be one of the most promising plays of the day, but it's that innovation factor that you can never really count that duo out as far as a top 3 finish is concerned.
Just imagine, right, if it had been like on one of those corners of Rift Island where they actually have the launch pads, it would have gone up, come back down. It would have been wild, but of course, still phenomenal play. And I can't wait to see more clips of just Thomas HD with the mammoth pistol in hand, just doming people left and right. Just wild. Another duo really quickly, Cammy and Seti. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Cammy as well, putting on the solo clutch like 2 games ago to end that game in 5th place with several eliminations. These guys are on it, right? And now we just have to go 1 more week, and then we'll see them in grand finals.
Oh yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, they got 4th place. And it was really well done throughout the day. I think that they are a little bit ahead of all the rest of these other duos, especially going into finals, grand finals, that is. I mean, their Storm Surge was just so consistent. It looks like they can make every single endgame if they play to their strategy, and they showcased that perfectly today.
Hey, every little bit counts. They were 6th in the week 1, 4th here today, and you never really know, because it'd be cool if they actually did manage to walk away as that first place position for week 3 finals, because that would make them the first duo to have a weekly finals win for every single major so far this chapter.
That would be pretty wild. I feel like, especially with their current scoreline, we will see them in grand finals. But you know, you just want to be sure once we get there, we'll see how things go. Overall, I am very pleased with EU today. There have been a couple of weird games where things are just chaotic. There's only solos left. People going way too ham. But at the end of the day, after these 6 games, I'm happy. I feel like I've had everything that I could have wanted, Vivid.
Yeah, I mean, I saw some great performances. I mean, we talked about Seti and Kami, Thomas and Malabuka look like they are in form. I want to shout out Podesai and Snatesy because, you know, me looking at their positions in every single end game, which they consistently made it to, by the way, it just looks like they kind of were always like on this like dead side where they could just save so many materials throughout a lot of those end game rotations. So I'll be looking forward to their week 3 performance as well.
Yeah, and considering that there were 31 new duos essentially competing here in week 2 finals in comparison to week 1, that is a lot of makeup time that those 31 duos have essentially been able to accomplish. And now it's going to really come down to the wire as far as week 3 finals is concerned. These teams do not want to have to try and chance it. They want to be in grands.
Absolutely. And of course, when is that? When is the last chance major? All that? Well, we have a broadcast schedule for you all at home in case you're tuning in for the first time. You're like, hey, this was actually pretty cool. I want to check out more Fortnite. Well, take a look here. This is week number 2, and we're already wrapped up and done here. However, next week we'll be back on August 5th for week number 3. Grand finals will be 2 days, August 12th and 13th. You want to come back for that. And then finally, key date here, August 20th, last chance major. That will be the final opportunity for a set number of duos to try and qualify for global championships. It is going to be wild. Now, of course, as I mentioned, global championships, maybe you're like, hey, what's that about? We have a special video for you guys. Check this out. This is the global championship.
The best players in the world all battling it out.
Insane matches already today.
These are the moments that make these players championship material.
One chance to make it happen, and they take it by force.
It is going to be absolutely insane. Tickets are indeed still available. And you know, from that halfway interview after game number 3, Mama Benji Fish is going to be there. We will be there. We hope you will join us for the Global Championships. Now, of course, before we say goodbye, I want to get closing thoughts from our amazing analysts.
Well, number 1, top of the list for me is going to be that the Mammoth pistol is very, very strong. And second on the list is that Thomas with the Mammoth pistol is also very, very strong.
Look, we saw some real highlight moments from a lot of individuals today as far as that Mammoth pistol is concerned, but looking towards North America now to see whether or not they can keep it popping with the Mammoth pistol highlights. I mean, anybody catching Twitter saw Reet with a nice little trick shot, so curious to see what NA does with this new weapon.
That's right. North America will take the stage tomorrow, so if you didn't want to wait till next week to watch more action in EU, come back tomorrow. North America, 6 games there as well. As always, don't forget, Legends Landing is a great place to go. And of course, thank you to all of our incredible team, our analysts, our casters, and we hope to see y'all tomorrow. And don't forget, as always, we love you, keep yourself safe, and we'll see you on the battle bus.
Là, bientôt, tout à l'heure, là, je vais relancer un live. Je vais relancer un live. J'attends 1 heure. 1 heure et comme ça, après, je lance le live. Je lance un autre live, je pense sur Fortnite ou je sais pas. On verra. Vas-y, on va se barrer. Hein. Si vous voulez parler, n'hésitez pas les gens. Bienvenue à tout le monde qui sont là, bienvenue à vous. N'hésitez pas à vous abonner, à partager le live, à liker. Merci énormément à tous les gens qui s'abonnent, qui partagent, qui like. Merci à vous, merci énormément. Voilà, gros cœur sur vous. Là, je vais bientôt arrêter le live, je vais relancer un autre live. Là, il aura le 31 août. Le 31 août, il a le Major 3 aussi. Après, il aura le 12, non, le 31 juillet, il va avoir le Major 3. Après, le 12, le 13, le 5 août. Et après, ça sera, voilà. Par contre, pour tous les FNCS, je suis tout en live. S'il y a des FNCS, je serai toujours... comme ça, je vous ferai montrer les FNCS et tout ça, quoi. Parce que je sais qu'il y a des gens qui savent pas. Coucou, c'est moi, Amalia. Ben, je sais très bien que c'est toi, Amalia. Comment tu vas, Amalia? Ça va ou quoi? Comment tu vas, Amalia? Oui, je vais bien. Ben, nickel. Alors, si tu vas bien, c'est le principal, là, Amalia. Là, je vais bientôt arrêter le live. J'attends que ça fait 1 heure. Et comme ça, quand ça fera 1 heure de live, je coupe le live et je relance un live. En fait, après, je vais relancer un autre live, mais sur Fortnite. Parce que là, ça c'est un live de FNCS, tu vois. J'ai regardé les FNCS. Et quand ça sera 1 heure, ben, j'arrête le live. Et comme ça, ben, après, je relance un live. Je sais, par contre, le 31 ou le 31 juillet, il aura un live de FNCS. Ben, tous les FNCS que ça va arriver, il aura un live dessus. Vous inquiétez même pas pour ça. Si vous avez des questions aussi, n'hésitez pas. Wesh beau gosse, ça va? Ça va et toi? Comment tu vas? Est-ce que tu vas bien? Est-ce que tu es en forme? N'hésitez pas à vous abonner les gens. Merci à tous les gens qui s'abonnent, qui partagent, qui like. Merci à vous.
Et tous les gens qui veulent regarder les FNCS, vous inquiétez pas. Il aura des lives de FNCS. Il aura beaucoup de lives de FNCS. Là, il aura le 31, là, le 31 juillet, il aura un live sur les FNCS, Major 3. Et après, en mois d'août, il en aura aussi. Voilà. Et n'hésitez vraiment pas à vous abonner. Parce que je sais qu'il y a des gens qui sont sur le live juste pour regarder FNCS, tu vois. Mais je les comprends, les gens qui aiment bien les FNCS. Mais vous inquiétez pas, tous les gens que vous voulez avoir des lives FNCS, vous inquiétez pas. Il en aura des lives de FNCS. Là, j'attends juste que, comment ça s'appelle, que à 1h, j'attends juste qu'il ait 1 heure de live, tu vois. À 1 heure de live, j'arrête le live. Et après, je relance un autre live, mais sur Fortnite, quoi. C'est pour ça, vous vous inquiétez pas. Avec moi sur Fortnite. Ben là, je vais arrêter le live et je vais reprendre là. Et je vais relancer le live. Relance le live. Bon bah à toutes les gens, je relance le live et à toutes.